Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Dreamers Game 1 where we are playing Yomi. This is turn 62. Let's jump into things. So, right off the bat, we have Enchantment 6 completed for research. Very nice. That is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from where we need to be. So, very excited about that. We have done an Auspex and found nothing. An Augury found nothing. Haruspex nothing. Another Auspex found nothing. Unfortunate. Gnome Lore found nothing. Another Haruspex also found nothing. Unfortunate. And that's it. So only 2 battles this turn. One at Cormark, which is really not going to be a battle because we just have a single little Goblin Bakemono Chief here. So he's gonna get got. Congratulations, he was holding it. He held. I probably should have had him on retreat, so that's my bad. I didn't think about that. I just didn't want him to get bounced by nothing, you know? And then we get attacked in Mareni, which we were potentially concerned about. Let's see what we get attacked by. Fucking everything. We get attacked by everything. Okay. Wow, right. Alright, so we've got all of the fires are over here. They've all... This is it. This is absolutely it. I mean, obviously not this battle, but this is the entirety of his forces, I'm betting. Maybe not the entirety of his forces. He does have some mill carts here, but I feel like he has a couple more mill carts that he has not dedicated into this. We've got a bunch of fire armies, earth, and nature. So earth armies and nature achas. And then he's got just a few air armies. Whole line of shamans. And then a couple of astral armies as communion masters. Got a prophet back here. His god is here. Okay, he is he's ready. This is everything. He is coming in hot. Now, we're not going to see anything here. We're just going to see fireballs and shit like that, right? But it looks like he doesn't really have any air gems. He does have some earth gems, so we can expect either earth buffs like Iron Warriors or things like Earth Elementals. I did see a lot of fire, so I'm expecting a lot of Fire Elementals, right, over here. And then his god has an air gem and a bunch of earth gems. And his armies, his astral armies, have some astral pearls. So I'm assuming a decent spread of buffs. Don't hurt yourself, my man. Our demon priest killed one long dead. Very nice. Trade your life for an unlife. So this is a big stack. This is absolutely, I think this is the last hurrah of Hinam's power. And a good amount of this turn is going to be focused on what are we going to do about that. So battles versus Hinam, we have and then technically we also attacked in Great Mountains and in Relothia with our 2 Dione, but we met no resistance, so we just took those. So we have a ratio of 2 wins and 2 losses versus Hinam this turn. So that's not too bad, especially considering the situation, right? Let me jot that down. Events. We have woods of the Fairy Court have been burned by a local lord, so a bunch of malices and then some air gems. We've got minus tax as the abundance of rules and regulations are slowing down commerce in the Great Mountains. And then some unnecessary laws have been abolished in Flimiston, causing turmoil and unrest, which is annoying. So for events this turn, air gems +2 basically is all that we have. The enchantment rituals continue to be cheaper for this month. That's pretty cool. A Mind Slime Horror attacked Relay's troops and won in the Cloud Breakers. That's up here. Seems to be like, I think this is because of maybe Relay's Dominion, but there seems to be like a lot of horror activity going on up in this particular area. So, and then our chief, Bakemono chief, was discovered in Rentale, which is unfortunate. Okay, so here's the big deal. We are under siege in Marini, and our walls are damaged, but they are not breached. This is a very, very big deal. We're very, very happy about that. Okay. What are we gonna do? Well, we've got a couple of different things that we are doing. We'll talk about them at various different stages, but the conga line of reinforcements continues, right? Akeno and Taro are still moving northwesterly in a northwest direction. Northwestern? Jeez. My brain today is fried. They're moving towards the battle with Hinnom, but I don't know that they're going to arrive in time. Aside from that, we are just moving around Dione into a couple of different locations. We're going to start patrolling in Lama. And then ultimately, I think that's pretty much it, except for the actual activity in the territory of Hinnom itself in Marini. So we can notice that our attempt to gain dominion in Marini did work. The temple and the preaching gave us 1 candle, so very excited. We are in our own dominion there. That is a good thing. We are going to be doing a lot of stuff this turn to try to prepare for this battle with Hinnom, but we're going to talk about that in an overarching scale. I think I'm going to want to go through all of the stuff that we're doing, and then we're just going to talk about Hinnom at the end. But I do want to say one of the things that we are doing is we are attacking with both Tsunei and Junichi. This is just intended, they're going to retreat. This is just intended to potentially burn some of those gems, right? Because 2 Dione might be considered powerful enough by that army to warrant gem usage, right? So we're going to try to burn some gems, and then we're just going to retreat, hopefully, into the fortification of Marini. So that'll be good for us, and we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. All right, let's talk about all of the different things that we're doing this turn, and then we will touch base on, after all of that, whatever's left, we'll touch base on theory crafting and conceptualizing stuff for Hinnom. So, we are doing some recruitment, but not much. We're doing a Dione and 1 Lizard Shaman this turn. Dione, just because we always want more Dione. And we could actually afford to do 1 this turn, and Lizard Shaman because we need more Lizard Shamans, because yay, Lizard Shamans. Of note, we did finish our Enchantress over here. She came out as a Fire 2, which is interesting, but not super useful to us. So she's just going to cast some Augury, is what it is. We have a bunch of rituals going on, and this is going to be much like how we have been doing here lately. I'm just going to go down all of the rituals, and then we're going to talk about the ones that are actually important. So rituals, we are doing 2 Auguries, 2 Auspecs, 1 Voice of Apsu, 1 Gnome Lore. Then we're doing 4 Corpse Constructions, 3 Enliven Gargoyles, 2 Enliven Statues, and 4 Summon Shikome. So, let me jot that down real quick. And we'll talk about the ones that are absolutely interesting things. And that's like all of the site searching, cool, whatever. The corpse constructs, cool, whatever. All the other stuff is happening here in Marini. And that's the Enliven Gargoyles, Enliven Statues, and Summon Shikome. So, we're going to have a turn to show these all off because the fortification is not going to get cracked, or it's not cracked this turn. It'll be cracked next turn. So what we're doing is we're basically just converting our gems into power for this fight against Tenom. The Shikome should give us a large amount of these, right? So every summoned Shikome is 8 effects. So we're gonna get 32 Shikome, which 32, 15 HP, decent stats, berserking, right? They do have berserker 4, so this actually hits at a 16 potentially, like if they've taken damage and survived. They have decent little resistances, even against fire, I think importantly, because we've seen a lot of fire gems, right? And they are sacred, so they're going to have shock resistance. If there are any air elementals that come out, we're going to have regeneration on them, and we're going to have awe for a little bit of extra added survivability, right? So these little ladies are hopefully going to add us a little bit of extra power. And then we're also doing some enlivened gargoyles and some enlivened statues. We'll show those off on the next turn because I don't really feel like pulling up a page for the Dom Inspector right now. But basically, the statues are immovable kind of sentry options that shoot lightning beams. So they are relatively useful. And then the gargoyles are cast. Yeah. So enliven statues and enliven gargoyles. Here's the thing. We're doing enliven statues on some of them. I would rather have enliven gargoyles on all of them, but we can't do enliven gargoyles on all of them because enliven gargoyles requires earth air, and we only have earth air on 3 of our Dionis here. So the 2 that we don't are doing enliven statues, and then the one that's not enough to do enliven statues is doing summon Shikomes, right? So that's kind of the situation. Also, our earth boots, the earth boots that we made a couple turns ago, right, have come in very handy to even allow us to do all of these things in the first place. So enliven statues makes a couple of statues. We'll look at it. Actually, I don't know why. I'm just saying. Makes 10 plus statues that shoot lightning bolts, and they're pretty tough. So very cool. And then the enlivened gargoyles are 5 plus gargoyles, and they're very tanky, not very killy, but very tanky flyers. So basically, we're hoping to, if we can't get the Fairy Queen into the mix here, which I think we will be able to, but if we can't get the Fairy Queen into the mix here, then the plan is going to be to hopefully use these gargoyles and some Dione to supplement and do basically the exact same thing, right? So that is the scenario there. Okay, so that's all of the rituals. Let's talk about what we are forging. We are doing 2 lightless lanterns, 1 flesh eater, 2 firebrands, 1 storm spool, 1 lightning rod, 1 amulet of anti-magic, and 2 moonvine bracelets. So let me jot that down. And most of these are pretty typical things. I want to talk about basically 2 of them specifically. The flesh eater is something that we talked about last turn, right? So we now have that flesh eater over here on Tokamochi, right? So Tokamochi now has Berserker 3, so he will not rout. He will not rout, right? So no matter what, he will not rout from the battle. He will just die. And we put it on him almost specifically because he has Battle Fright. So, you know, just trying to take some of that ability away, right? He also has a heroic battle prowess, so he's very, very killy. Comparatively, an additional +4 on top of his already +4 on top of his +3. So from base attack skill 14 up to 25 is pretty damn good. Hits pretty hard, etc., etc. And And then firebrands being the other thing that we are making this turn. Firebrands are, we've talked about this a little bit throughout, compared to frostbrands or shadowbrands, firebrands are superior to those, generally speaking, because you end up fighting a lot of undead in this game, and undead typically has very high resistance to cold, and they're lifeless. So frostbrands and shadowbrands do not deal with them from an AoE perspective. Now, there is the problem that a good portion of the enemies units here are these long dead Rephites, and they have fire resistance built in because Rephite warriors have fire resistance built in, right? But a little bit of potential extra damage goes a long way in this type of situation, and the firebrand has a area 14 damage, right? So taking 5 of that off is perfectly acceptable, right? Compared to having none of it, right? Which is what we would be dealing with if we had the Frostbrands or the Shadowbrands. So that's part of the reason why we're going Firebrands, is because we need to be able to cut through things from an AoE perspective, potentially, right? And then the only other real thing that maybe needs a comment is the Moonvine bracelets. We're just making more Moonvine bracelets because we need more Moonvine bracelets, right? We need more ability to boost up nature just in case we go that route. We had one Moonvine bracelet. We don't want to lose our only Moonvine bracelet by throwing it on our Fairy Queen and then her getting killed, right? So we're taking the opportunity to, now that we have some more Moonvine bracelets, because we used the one to make another one, and now we're using the 2 that we have to make 2 more, just to basically keep us safe on having access to that booster. So let's talk about, that's all the stuff that I'm going to track time on and everything like that. Let's take a few minutes and actually talk about theory here, and talk about what the issues are that we have. Fortification's not going to get cracked until next turn if Hinnom stays on our fort. Hinnom might not stay on the fort. This might just be a feint. Moves on top of us, leaves something there. There's another reason why I'm potentially attacking with Tsunei and Junichi, right? And I'm not having them retreat immediately. I'm having them retreat after a little bit, because if there is something that he leaves on here, I want to give it the chance to potentially retreat first, right? Because that might be an option as well. He might just march this army somewhere else. He might march it to Jabero, or he just might march it around, or whatever. Or he might go back to his capital. But assuming that he does leave the army here, we have a turn before this fort gets popped. So next turn, the fort will be breached. That will give us another turn to cast these things like Enliven Gargoyles, or statues, or summon Shikomes, or whatever other things that we're wanting to do. It will also give us turn to make sure that we have the ability to change out gear or things like that, right? To figure out exactly what we want to do. So next turn, the fort is popped, and we are sitting at 600 off of enchantment 7. So we cannot make it, basically, to enchantment 7 in time if they stay here, basically. Okay? I'm trying to like reason through my reasoning in my brain at the same time, right? We can't make it to enchantment 7, and have mass flight, right, from this Fairy Queen in this battle if they stay on Merenni. It won't happen. We did not have enough time. So instead of trying to go for that, I'm going to try to go for what we can potentially make use of, right? And there are a couple of things here, right? But I think the main thing that we are going for is we're going to try to do Thaumaturgy 5. I say we try to do. We will complete Thaumaturgy 5. And then have 300 spill over into Enchantment 7, right? And the reason, pretty exclusively, that we are doing it is the idea of Growing Fury. Ravenous Swarm as well, but also Growing Fury. These are both battle enchantments, and we could potentially get both of them up on these two shamans, right? With a Moonvine Bracelet and a Thistle Mace and enough gems, these two shamans could throw up Growing Fury and Ravenous Swarm. So Ravenous Swarm deals unholy damage to an undead target. We have basically no undead, right, on our side of the field. And most of his side of the field is undead. Long dead Rephites, long deads, even his white shaman, right? Potentially all targetable by the Ravenous Swarm. So, getting that up could actually do a decent amount of damage. I really, really wish, I will say this, I wish for things like Ravenous Swarm, they let you see in the aftermath of the battle, they let you, like, there was a little scenario of, Ravenous Swarm did this much damage and got this many kills over the course of the battle. Same thing for, like, Howl, right? Like, Howl did, the wolves from Howl did this much damage, absorbed this much damage, right? You know, because that's also really super important information, right? And got this many kills. That would be Dominion 6. Give us more information so we have a better understanding of how effective these things are. That would be so incredibly interesting and cool. So, yeah, Ravenous Swarm, I think, is potentially going to be a useful part for us. Control Dead, also potentially an option, kind of in that same vein. And then Growing Fury is potentially a nice option, because if we throw Growing Fury up, one of the ways that we lose these types of battles is by routing, right? A lot of times we don't lose because we're getting because we can't kill the enemy. We lose because of chicken shit troops that fucking run, right? So if we have Growing Fury up, there's the chance, a better chance, of those units going berserk and not fleeing, right? So basically, we're potentially not getting mass flight in time. So I'm trying to pick up any amount of strength for the potential coming battle that I can. That being said, we're still, I mean, after we take Thaumaturgy, we're still going to move to Enchantment 7 as quickly as possible, because I do still think that mass flight is kind of like the next big thing for us to throw into the mix. And we still have the forces of, like, Akeno or Taro that would be perfectly serviceable to do something like that. It's a scenario of, like, I just don't think we're going to have it for the battle at Merenni if Hinnom decides to stick around for this fight right now, right? So, is there anything else to think about? Vengeful Water should be coming down this turn. Nothing else has really changed from a board state scenario. We've got a very clutch battle potentially coming up against Hinnom. And I think that is probably pretty much it for this turn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.